Good morning. Good morning, and welcome to a special edition of Local Marana. We got a special guest with us. But before we get started, we're going to jump to David and do a little local weather. How you doing? Good morning, David.
Good morning. I am just trying to remember where my button is. There I am.
There he is.
Hey, good morning, guys. Hey, we're going to cover the weather and traffic this morning because we like to just do things a little more awesome every time we do stuff. I'm going to get rid of these, though. All right, so we're looking at 65 as the temperature right now. We are looking at a high of 80 degrees today, and it's sunny. And it's going to be sunny all the way till next weekend. And this weekend's going to be cooling off, 76 for the high on Saturday. So if you had some outside plans, you hit the jackpot.
Yes, sir.
Next thing we got is traffic. So the only thing we're seeing here in Marana is an incident that happened about 4:30 this morning at the Railroad and Cochee Canyon. Looks like it's in the clearing stages on that. And then there's some slowing on the interstate for your normal traffic. Looking at about a 15-second delay on, 15-minute delay on your traffic this morning.
I was wondering how we got that precise to 15 seconds. That's pretty good. And you know what? Real quickly, the road construction is really moving forward in that area, so we're glad to see that. Okay, special guest. We got Dr. Sylvia Lee, Supervisor of District 3, Pima County, in the studio with us this morning. Welcome, Doctor.
Oh, thank you so much, Clint. I really appreciate the invitation.
Yeah, you know, we've known each other a little while. We have a lot of mutual friends, but I just bumped into you. Has it been 3 weeks ago now? Time flies.
3 weeks ago
at the Marana Food Bank.
Yes.
And so before we get started, I really want to give a shout out to you, Sharon Bronson,
Yes.
and all the members of the Pima County Board of Supervisors for being so, I hate to use the word generous, but generous probably applies in this case because there was a sizable commitment from the county, and you can elaborate on that a little bit more. So welcome to the show.
Oh, thank you so much, Clint. Well, I am really pleased to be here, and good morning, everyone. I came aboard in December because Sharon Bronson had stepped down because of an accident after 27 years. And you know how well she took care of Marana and everyone in District 3 for all those years. And so I was honored to be appointed by the board just for the year. And everyone that is running for District 3 supervisor the election is coming up in November, and I am not one of the candidates because that was one of the things I agreed to.
Right.
So when I came on board, I had learned that the Marana Food Bank had lost some service from the Food Bank of Southern Arizona, and they had pulled out. And they still do deliver the food boxes, so I want to make sure that, and they also do, I think, once a month mobile, but and they do mobile in this area, but the county, thanks to Mayor Honey, he called Sharon Bronson, and Sharon brought it before the board, and the vote was that we would give $100,000 for this year, and until July 1 is our new fiscal year, and then next year $200,000, and then after that the food bank would be part of what we call outside agencies that Pima County helps fund, and we don't fund all these agencies to their capacity. What we do is we give some monies, and there's a whole process. But last year we gave $3.6 million to agencies such as the Saurita Food Bank and Community Resource Center. You know, we do quite a bit with regards to other nonprofits. They're all nonprofits, and they're vetted by a committee, and then they're put forward for a 2-year period. And so that's one of the things the county does is a lot of these nonprofits need some assistance, and so that's what we provide.
And there's such a need.
Oh, there is.
When and Saurita with Tom Murphy and Carlos, they're actually the Saurita Food Bank stepped up.
Exactly.
When Ed reached out to Tom to make that all happen, but it couldn't have happened as quickly as it, because like Southern Arizona Food Bank left on Friday.
Yes.
And the new Marana Food Bank opened on Monday.
I
So there
know.
was,
It was
no
just-
interruption of
There
service.
wasn't. And, Saurita, thanks to all the wonderful people at the Saurita Food Bank, stepped up and said, yes, we will be part. So now Marana and Saurita are in a partnership.
Right.
And Carlos Valle is
Yes.
the executive director. And, we have an excellent relationship with, the mayor, both mayors
Right.
and their friends.
Yes.
And forge this partnership.
Right.
In fact, they're coming before the Board of Supervisors on May 7th. They're going to give a presentation on how well they are doing after, 5 months of being open. So look for it on the
Yeah.
Board of Supervisors May 7th.
I'm glad you mentioned that because it's on my calendar and I've forgotten it. I'm going to be there as well.
Oh,
so,
great.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
and I
forgotten
want
that.
to say Clint himself is on the board
Yeah,
for the
it's my
Marana.
pleasure.
I know. And so thanks to so many people that are so generous. And
Yeah. Let's talk about District 3.
Yes.
It's a huge district.
It
Got to be
is.
one of the largest supervised districts in the United States. I mean, I know that's not a stretch at all, if not maybe the biggest.
Well, I wish I knew exactly where we were with regards to the comparison nationally, but certainly in Pima County we have the largest. And I'm going to put on my
Yeah,
glasses
yeah.
because I want to make sure I get all this straight. But there are 7,278 square miles of western Pima County and the international border with Mexico is one of our borders. And then we go all the way to the Yuma County, and we service Ajo, Y, Lukeville. Then we go all the way up to the Maricopa boundary, Pinal County, and obviously we have almost all of Marana. Just District 1, Rex Scott has a tiny sliver, but the majority of it is under District 3, and we go down on the west side of I-10, again, west. And so this was redrawn, the redistricting was redrawn because back in, what happens is every time there's a census, so back in 2020, the state comes up with a redistricting, and then the county needs to follow. And so what we did is we talked to, in fact, I was on that committee before I was even a board of supervisors, and I called the mayor and said, what are your thoughts on how you would like to see this? And he said, it's hard having two supervisors to talk to because at
Right,
that time it was
right.
kind of split. And so what we did is we redistrict so that almost all of Marana is with District 3. And Saurita, for example, had 3 supervisors. Now they're almost all of Saurita
Is in 3.
is in 2.
Oh,
In 2. But the Saurita Food Bank, because it's west of I-19, the sliver is actually in District 3.
Is that right?
So we
I'm
boundary.
picturing that geographically. I'm picturing
Yeah,
that area.
yeah.
Basically west of 10 and 19.
Yes.
All the way to
exactly.
Yuma.
Right. Exactly.
Anyone that doesn't live in the desert or doesn't know this demographic
Yeah.
that we're talking about, it's
huge. And we have 2. It's so wonderful because we have obviously the 2 of the nature preserves, which is the Cabeza Prieta, which is over there by the Organ Pipe National Monument, over by Ajo. That is one of the preserves. Then we have the preserve that is over by Sasabe. And the name escapes me for 1 second, sorry. But anyway, we also have 2 of the border crossings over in Sasabe and in Lukeville with the Mexican border. So we are, as a county, very, very involved, and we call it the Arizona Border Counties Coalition, and that is Santa Cruz County and Cochise County, Yuma County, and Pima County. Together, we form this coalition so that we're on top of what's happening on the border and so that we are all on the same page. And so we work very closely with border Border Control and Border Protection, and we also work very closely with the Senate, State Senator Sinema, U.S. Senator Sinema, Senator Kelly, and our congressional delegation as well, because we all need to be communicating,
right.
and the city of Tucson as well. So
That's the key.
yeah,
Just talking to each other.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, it really is. I put that at the top of all of my notes. Communication is the key to making this all happen.
exactly. I
So,
totally agree.
And we talked about this briefly in discussing you being here. I want to know. I really want to know two things as we move through the rest of this conversation. I want to know what keeps you awake at night that concerns you, and I want to know what you wake up happy. We'll get to that at the end because I want to close with the good stuff.
I love that.
But right now, as you sat here and you've been in this position, now you've been. I know your background. You've been here.
My whole life.
Your whole life.
I'm born and raised in
Because you're
Tucson.
a fellow grad
From Catalina High School,
you
the
go.
original Catalina that's in the hood.
It's in the hood.
I love that place.
But what are because it's obvious, anybody that's paying attention, we have issues like everyone else. I mean, but
Yeah.
the issues in Pima County
Sure.
are issue that's really the thing that you're most concerned about, and then maybe what the solution to that might be, and then let's get to the happy stuff. What keeps you
okay.
awake at night?
Well, we just now got a $21 million allocation from the feds. And, whether you agree with what's happening on the border or not, I'm not looking at the politics. I'm just looking at the pure needs. So what's happening is that obviously everyone knows about the asylum seekers. So once border control, they come and say, "I'm seeking asylum." They become legally processed asylum seekers. What that means is the Border Patrol will then process them, and they are given a date and time, and they obviously check facial recognition for criminals, et cetera. But we also, so they come across, and they are, if you didn't have the money from the feds, we're not using Pima County money, Santa Cruz County, Cochise money. What we're utilizing is the federal money, so that those individuals that come across are not what we call street released. And that's what we were very afraid of, because we ran out of any money.
At the end of last month, correct?
Exactly. And so now this new influx of money allows us to, and the state, the governor's office has helped us with the transport from the actual border where they come across once they are processed, and takes them to different shelters. And mostly we call it Las Alitas shelter. And at that point, we have a number of volunteers, and we have a contract with with Catholic Community Services. And what they do is, first of all, they have a place to stay overnight if they so choose. We help them get their transportation set. Now, we don't pay for their transportation, a very, very small amount that we help. The majority, they already know where they want to go. They have a sponsor or a family member, because remember, at the border, they're given a date and time for their court hearing regarding asylum. So what happens is, once they come to Casas Alitas, we feed them. They have the ability to take a shower. We help them get their next transport to wherever their final destination is. And that's usually their final destination is where their court hearing is going to be. Now, we were hearing all kinds of things about, oh my goodness, years away. Some places, depending on where, will be much quicker, but it could be years away. And so those individuals, I believe, are also, we're trying to get them work permits so that over the period of time they're working and contributing and have an income. So then their court hearing takes place, and so that at that point, then they're either granted asylum, or
Right.
if they're not, they must go back to their home country. And so we all know that the system is broken because you've got the thousands of individuals, as we all know, have come forward. And so that's really, a federal issue. It has nothing to do with the state of Arizona or Pima County. What we're trying to do is to minimize any street releases so that these individuals are humanely cared for and then move on their way. And we are really a model for the other border communities and how we're handling this. But it is costly.
Yes. And the 21 million just came like in the last few days,
exactly.
right? Just in the last week?
Exactly. So that's going to carry us. So depending on the influx, so our highest point of influx of asylum seekers was in December of 23. And if you remember, Secretary of State and Secretary Mayorkas, Blinken and Mayorkas went to Mexico to speak to the president in December to say, hey, you've got to help us here. And so what they've been doing is stopping a lot of the influx that we had at a high point, which was in December, to now we're seeing about 3,000 a month. At that time, it was close to 8,000 or 9,000, or even more, maybe 12. I can't remember exactly.
It was an
but
enormous
it was the
amount
high,
of number. Yeah.
very much so. And I really want to give kudos to Pima County because it's Pima County that is coordinating all of this through Shane Clark and our emergency
I was just
services.
going to mention him. I know him real well.
Oh, do you?
Yeah,
he is so awesome.
Yeah, Shane. I was just getting ready to mention him. He's an awesome dude.
He is, and he coordinates this whole thing with his team, and it's a very small team, along with, again, the people from Catholic Community Services who are providing a tremendous service.
Yeah, I was just getting ready to shout you out, Shane. I know Shane real well. He's an awesome singer.
No, I didn't know. Oh,
awesome.
I'm going to have him sing then.
No,
I didn't know
I'm
that.
not kidding you. Matter of fact, Scott and Shane are on the worship team at Oro Valley Church of the Nazarene.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay, well, Shane, now I know.
Yeah,
we're going to have
out.
you sing. And I knew Shane when I was president at Pima Community College until I retired. And Shane was at the community college doing the Public Safety Institute and coordinating that whole thing. And so I got to know him then.
Actually, about probably end of February, 1st of March, I saw him at church. So I said, hey, let's get on the podcast. And he actually he said, you know who you need to talk to. Oh. And he mentioned you by name.
That's so sweet.
Yeah.
You should also have Jan Lesher on.
Yeah, we would love to.
Oh, yeah.
Help us facilitate
I'll do that.
that.
As our county administrator, she's got a tremendous responsibility because we have 70, I think close to 7,000 employees.
Yeah.
With an immense...
And what's your budget? Because I heard...
okay.
Well, because I heard some budgets of communities around here.
Sure.
And they're like kind of staggering.
Oh, yeah.
So I'll use Marana as an example.
Okay.
They've almost doubled in the last couple of years, which makes sense if you think about it because the growth
is tremendous
phenomenal.
out here,
I mean,
which is so fantastic.
In 18, I checked this just recently. In 2018, the population of Marana was 40,000, 42. Now it's 65, and that's a 6-year period of time.
Isn't that amazing?
It's insane.
It's insane. So
that's controlled growth. I don't want to leave the word insane floating around out there. It's controlled growth.
Exactly. And I want to say the town council and mayor are doing a phenomenal job with the service they're providing. And Terry Rosema, the town manager, he is awesome.
Yes, he is.
So I kudos to all of what they're doing.
Yeah.
But I will say that our budget, so pre-COVID, it was about $1.4 billion. Mm-hmm. Then we got the influx of COVID money from the feds. And there's about, I don't know, 2 to 3 billion that has now been given out over the 4 years. So I'm not sure exactly how much is left of that. But anyway, but you have until, I believe, December of 26 to spend it. And so what we're doing for some of those, the COVID dollars we're providing, for example, quite a bit went to Pima County Health Department for the immunizations and the staffing to do all that. and different kinds of programs and services that we've provided. And so that's what a lot of that use is going to.
Yeah. That, you mentioned earlier, and I'm going to echo it. This is a federal problem. We just happen to be on the front row.
That's a well said.
This is
really
federal.
is.
This is where DC, we need you guys and gals to come together and maybe spend a little more time out here with Dr. Lee and Lesher and all these people, because unless you see it and feel it and touch it and know it, because these are human beings we're really talking about. There's other issues that go with that, but these are human beings.
They are. And, I really would like to say, too, as I mentioned, we're part of a border county coalition. So we just had a meeting yesterday, and we were saying, because what was in that Senate bill that Senate proposal for the border that was shot down, one of the things in there, and we talked about, what are some of the easy solutions? Well, it's all at the federal level, but we talked about the U.S. has a consular general, and she resides, Consular General Lewis. She resides in Sonora, Nogales, okay, but she's our U.S. Consular General there, and she was on board. And one of the things she talked about, and that we all talked about, and also Senator Kelly's office also talked about, was the ability at the home country, so let's say Guatemala, having the U.S. Embassy vet those individuals that are wanting to seek asylum. And what I was told is it's hard because you can't really claim asylum until you're at our border.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Saying, I'm here for asylum. But what we could look at, and we kicked it around, is it's a matter of definition. So maybe it's not, those are people, pre-asylum seekers.
I was just thinking that.
Yeah.
Pre-qualified,
exactly.
like you would for a home.
Pre-qualified.
Yeah.
Because so they don't come across thousands of miles and get here saying, you've got to go back, those things. And so they're trekking across thousands of miles, and they're not just coming from Mexico or, Venezuela, Guatemala. They're also coming from Africa, Senegal. We've got Togo. We've got China.
Right.
And so it's just amazing the crossers coming over from other countries seeking asylum.
And if you just got here and you're wondering when did this start, well, this is I love seeing the pictures of 100 years ago of the border crossing.
Yes.
Because there really wasn't a border.
No, they just walked across. There wasn't, again.
Are we getting ready to go to commercial, David?
I have a question.
Okay,
so
David's got a question.
Something was mentioned about sponsors. So when they're getting ready to be transported or obtaining transportation.
Yes.
What is a sponsor? What
Great question.
What is in that category? I'm just curious.
Oh, that's a great question. Most of the time, it's a family or friend. Does that make sense?
Okay. Yeah.
So it's somebody who is saying, yes, that individual is going to be in my care. They're going to come live with me, or I'm going to assist them until they get their job and can work until their court date. So if that makes sense.
Right. Okay, so when they do the sponsorship, those that are taking them in, are they signing something or like a promise to help get them to court, or is it just kind of like on a trust thing or?
That's a really good question. I don't know the answer to that, but it happens at the actual border crossing when CBP interviews them and does the facial recognition and all of the assistance, because there are those that CBP turns away and says you don't qualify. So they're interviewing every single one of those individuals, and that's the concern that the border chief has, as well as all of us from the border counties. Is so many of our border patrol officers are doing processing. They're not out, out at the border seeing who's crossing illegally. Are they smuggling? What's going on? So that's all of our concern, because so much of their time now is spent doing that processing, and that is an issue. But in that border bill, as I understand it, were some solutions to that. So I really hope Congress will go back and look at that border bill, because there were solutions to getting Border Patrol officers through the academy faster, the paperwork, hiring more so that we can, and more technology so that we can assist in getting them out on the border where they should be, and monitoring that.
That answer your question, David?
It did. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
You bet.
Thank you.
You know, we all. I'm going to say we all agree, and I think we all agree. We don't want the bad characters. There's no benefit for any
my
of us.
goodness,
We
no.
don't. We have enough issues of our own to than bringing
Absolutely.
in more bad characters.
Right.
But on the same token, I'm of the again. I mentioned the 100-year pictures that I've seen of border crossings in different places
Yes.
as they are now, and I'm like, well, it worked pretty good until we started messing with it. Fair enough to say.
Well, the population changed so much.
We are going to go to a commercial break, aren't we, David? I
Yes,
think
sir.
we
Yeah,
are.
we are. All right.
Thank you, David.
Discover the power of 88 Crime, where your anonymous tips are rewarded with cash.
When you call in anonymously with the tip, you are given a code. With the code and a password, you can walk into a bank and redeem your reward anonymously. If your anonymous tip results in a felony arrest, you can claim up to $2,500 cash reward.
Let's stop the silence on crime and strive for a safer community. For more information, please visit 88crime.org or call 88crime.
Copper Creek Cookies, Copper Creek Cookies, CopperCreekCookies.net.
We can print anything on our soft vanilla logo cookies. We deliver them and other sweet treats locally. We are located at 4249 West Ina Road, Suite 121. Call us 520-300-1131. We bake smiles.
Copper Creek Cookies, Copper Creek Cookies, CopperCreekCookies.net.
Are you looking to establish a powerful online presence for your brand? Look no further than Live the Dream Media. Our team of experts possess the capabilities and skills necessary to make it happen. From creating compelling content to analyzing data and making strategic decisions, we've got it covered. Don't let a lack of social media know-how hold you back. Visit ltdmedia.net for more information.
Hi, I'm Alan Murdoch. For the past 20 years, I've been buying, fixing, and selling properties right here in Southern Arizona. And I want to buy your property. Whether it's a house, apartment, commercial building, or vacant land, regardless of the condition or the situation, I want to talk to you. When you sell to me, I pay cash and it's hassle-free. No repairs, no closing costs, and no commissions. If you have a property you don't want to deal with and you want a quick solution, call, text, or visit selltalon.com. Again, that's selltalon.com.
Okay, we are back. We are back. And again, happy Thursday. Thank you for joining us on this special edition with our special guest, Dr. Lee from Pima County Board of Supervisors. So we talked about the harsh reality of some of the stuff we deal with.
Yes.
Now, or that you deal with for us. Let's talk about the good stuff.
Oh,
Let's
I'd
talk about the
love to.
fun stuff, the stuff
Sure.
that gives you joy when you wake up going, man, I can't wait to go deal with this or talk to these people. Or
Yes. Well,
this is going to be fun. So you
This
just
is-
let her roll.
this is a really fun part. There's some really, really exciting things we're doing. You know, there's so much research over the years that early childhood education can do so much for our community and families, and that individual that goes through early childhood will have such a better chance at life. And unfortunately, you know, some states pay for it and some states don't.
Mm-hmm.
Our state does not. And what that means is the families are having to pay for it. And if you're low income or even medium income individual,
Which is where most people are.
exactly, it is very expensive. And I know when my daughter, she's going to be 30, I had to pay for it out of pocket, and it was very costly. So one of the things, and I want to give a shout out to all of my colleagues on the Pima County Board of Supervisors, Adelita Grijalva, Matt Hines, and Rex Scott, and Sharon Bronson, and also, I don't know how it was voted and if Steve Christie voted for it or not. I really don't know. But those were the individuals at the time it was voted through, is what we call PEEPS. And that is a scholarship program, and it is a scholarship program for preschool and pre-kindergarten. So we gave out, and I don't want to say it's just the county. The town of Marana contributes, the city of Tucson, United Way, and we served 1,600 students this year that are young kids and that are just starting out in life. And I was so fortunate to tour the Flowing Wells Family Resource Center and Early Learning Center and just saw what the money is going towards, because they had a class. There were 2 classes with a teacher and several aides, and they had a class of about 16 kids. Now, so they could really give them the attention that they needed. And I was so impressed with that. And so the county has been contributing $30 million over a period using COVID funds. And that when that runs out, the county will be I don't know the amount,
Right.
but will be utilizing other funding to pay for that. And so that is something that, in my mind, is just such a joy to see that we have stepped up. And we are, I think, a national model, because what we've been getting a lot of contacts from other states saying, hey, we don't do that, or other counties, we don't have preschool, paid preschool or pre-K. What can we do? And so we're sharing our model with them.
I had no clue you were going to lead with that.
Oh.
But I am so happy. For me, I don't think anything's ahead of our children as far as education. There are a lot of things that are important. Our border is important. Crime, all that's important. But to me, it starts with education. It starts with children, and it starts, for me, it's as early as possible. David's baby's going to turn 3 next month.
Oh.
And your and my babies are in the same age,
Okay,
30. I got
yeah.
a 29 and soon to be 31
yeah,
here.
my too, yeah.
But you know what? That's something that we talk about here all the time. We've got to do a better job. All of us, not just Arizona, not just Pima County, everyone. We've got to do a better job. And when I saw someone on Facebook the other day saying, well, property taxes or school taxes should be exempt for people that don't have children in school. And my first reaction was, well, who paid for yours? But more importantly, here's my selfish take on this.
Yeah.
Who's going to take care of me when I get older? I'm old now, but I want smart, whatever you are, road builders, people working in restaurants, doctors, lawyers. I want all of the best people to take care of me in a selfish way as I
Absolutely.
get older. So to say I don't want to
Absolutely.
support education is insane.
It is insane. And I will say that, it is very unfortunate, and you may not know this, but Arizona has traditionally been in the lower part in funding education, and it's just sad. It's because, I know it's a lot of it is costly, because for a while when my daughter was born, I was in Minnesota as a dean in Minneapolis for 5 years, and there's a lot more in property tax, but I will tell you, the school system and the economy, because again, let's face it, and you may not think that you should be paying for somebody else's kid, but it has so much to do with our economic development and our economy and our crime rates and our safety and everything.
There's this thing, Edgar Soto, a
Yes,
mutual friend of ours
sure,
who's running
sure.
for District 3, was mentioning just the other day to me about the site selectors. that come around, and they're with large organizations, and they're picking where the next Intel,
Oh,
or wherever
absolutely.
these large corporations, and one of the very first things they look at is education.
Yes.
What kind of, because you know what? That's their workforce. Should
Absolutely.
they choose to come
It is
here.
their workforce.
So yeah.
And I want to give kudos to Pima Community College because Chancellor Lambert, who recently left, but he came in 2013, and I was on the Pima College Board of Governors when we hired him. And I remember saying to him, hey, could you bring what you brought to Washington State here with regards to workforce? Because, at that time, Jim Click was having to go get his master technicians in Phoenix because Pima was not providing the workforce. But now, I don't know if you've seen what's happened with the Centers of Excellence for Automotive, Manufacturing, Healthcare, cyber security. All these things are happening. And the board at that time very much supported the building of new buildings. And now you could eat off the floor in that automotive center of excellence. And now what's happening is these students are coming in, and they are in line to become what we call master technicians. They will have jobs with Jim Click and other dealers as master technicians, making excellent salaries before they graduate. They know where they're working. And it's tremendous. In our aviation technology, we're now at 2 shifts at Pima Community College in training because there's such a need out there.
Our son-in-law, Derek, he's going to graduate next month from an electrician program. And he just won, shout out to our son-in-law, he just won the wire off. It's like a rodeo for
I love
wiring,
that.
and he's got a trip to Miami.
Oh my goodness!
Because of that, and Tucson is in the top 5 of need for electricians because of the growth that we've got. And I'm like, oh my goodness, a pay raise time there, Derek. So shout out to our son-in-law. We love you. And of course, I expected him to win the wire off because he's just that kind of personality. He's just going to succeed. But to me, again, it goes back to education. And the earlier we can start as a community supporting every child, every kid, right on through. I like the flexibility too of some of this stuff. I really do, because kids learn different.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
I'm one of 4 children, and we all, and I've got doctors in my family and all this stuff. We all learned differently. And so one size fits all to me,
it doesn't work.
It just doesn't work.
Absolutely.
And so some of the flexibility that we have, I really love that, because at the end of the day, if we can't challenge ourselves as adults to do a better job of raising our children and educating our children, who's going to do it for us? They aren't.
They aren't. No.
Because kids are kids.
They're kids. So it's up to us as parents or caregivers, grandparents, to make sure that happens. And you can't say, oh, gee, it's too expensive now, because we have the peeps.
Right.
So folks out there, if you are in need, look on the Pima County website for early childhood learning and look at that scholarship.
Yeah. This has been fun. I knew it would be.
Aw.
We're flying right through this.
That's great.
What else makes you excited to wake up in the morning?
I always listen to the news first thing in the morning and different stations. I try not to do
Is that
just
what
one.
you really want to start your day with?
I do. I'm crazy, but I do. And I do it at night,
We got to stay informed, haven't we?
I know. I do. And so one of the things that you hear about in the whole country, it's not just in Pima County, not just in Arizona, is affordable housing. I feel badly for some of these young folks that are coming out, and they can't. Buying a house is out of their reach. So the beauty of one of the things the county has put in money this year alone was $5 million, and what the county does is augments the ability for some of these builders to bid on some of these contracts for low-income housing. And so what they'll do is they'll actually be building not just multi-use housing like apartments, but actual homes. And it's exciting to know that. And these individuals, hopefully, because they are for low income and some medium income, can actually come in and afford now to purchase and also afford rent, because not everything is to purchase but to rent. And I want to shout out to the Habitat for Humanity, which is so cool. I was able to tour they call it the Chuck Center, which is a manufacturing center. That's who you need to have on here because, in the former days, those individuals, and I don't want to say they still don't do it, but they'd build from the ground up.
Right.
But now they're actually doing walls in that manufacturing center, and so they're transporting entire walls that are already built. And so then they're putting them up.
Right.
And it's just really exciting.
And these
to
are
see.
well-structured homes.
Oh,
These
my
aren't
goodness.
like we think of the old days, pre-manufactured homes and stuff. And let's think about that.
They're wood.
They're actually in many cases better than the
and they're
than the stick
stucco,
built.
and they're just like any construction site you see out there with a builder. But I would urge you to have.
You're going to help me. You're going to help me with that as well, aren't you?
I certainly will, because Habitat's doing some really amazing things right here in Marana.
Yeah. You talked about and we talk about that a lot. Ed Honey, the mayor of Marana, and I.
I love Ed.
We chat about this a lot. Let's say with Marana growing like it is. So mom's a school teacher, dad's a police officer or works at one of the local companies here, CTI, that just did the ribbon cutting. And they've got a couple of kids. With the housing being the way it is, I mean, rent's insane.
It is insane.
I mean,
it is
you're talking
so-
2,500
Oh, my
are up
goodness.
for like places that when we're
and
not that old.
That's
you
taking
rent
a big chunk of their
exactly,
income.
Exactly.
And that's not food. That's just rent.
Yes. And so,
Can
jump
I
in here,
check?
David.
Have you guys heard anything about that company, that online company they're going after? The Arizona Attorney General currently is. It's like a apartment and rental website, and they were found to be basically fixing the market themselves with algorithm. Did you guys hear anything about that? Let me pull it up.
I haven't. But
I haven't.
you know what doesn't surprise me at all, because I was in the real estate industry way back in the day for quite a while, and I there's some of the stuff I'm like, why is this?
Yeah.
It's unspoken collusion.
Yes. Right.
Right.
I got the name of it. It's RealPage.
Okay.
So, Arizona Attorney General is suing several landlords and software company RealPage for illegally colluding to raise rents and harming thousands of renters in the state. Yeah. They've tricked tenants into paying more for rent than they otherwise would have.
Yeah. Oh, wow. I'll look that up.
Yeah,
Thank
I came across it just a couple days ago. So this information was just posted on March 18th of 2024 on moneywise.com. So it's a national thing. Wow. The state's lawsuit claims rent in Phoenix and Tucson may have climbed at least 30% due to the rental monopoly.
Oh my goodness.
Well, I wasn't going to go down the rabbit hole a while ago when you brought that up.
I just thought, you guys are talking
I'm glad
about the
you
prices.
brought that up.
I just, it's a pretty new development.
Well, thanks,
Dr. Lee.
Thanks,
so
Dave.
I just wanted to share. Yeah,
Appreciate
because
that.
so much of this has been manipulated from the jump to begin with. While you're touching about that, and we just did an article in This is Marana. I believe it came out Monday. About this, but we used the starter home mentality for businesses.
Yeah.
To keep the local flavor the way it is, not bashing corporations, because every small business pretty much aspires to be a big business. So let's not be hypocritical about this.
Sure.
However, that being a small business operator, we already know that roughly half of the United States economy is small business. It's the local flavor. It stays local.
Yes.
The corporations aren't taking the money somewhere else and investing in it. We need that mentality in business. Almost the starter home mentality, and we use Gilbert
really
as the example, because we were both up. David and Tammy and I went up for a job, and then David was up. His in-laws live in that area. They have created a downtown area that you can't tell corporate from mom and pop
Wow.
And they've created lower. I'm not expecting government to create winners or losers.
Sure,
That's
sure.
not their role.
Yeah.
But make things affordable for the small, because a small operator can't spend $2 million to build a building.
Right.
They got to
Exactly.
just keep, I mean, I won't quote who it is, but there's a established a business owner in this community in restaurants, and and we all do it. You're just following the business that went out, and you move into their existing business. Sometimes
Sure.
they've been there forever,
Right,
And
right.
try to adjust it to your business. And we really we need it from a local level, we need it from county level, we need it from a state level to support the small business. Because again, being a small business operator for the last 35 years, I can tell you, we're the backbone
Absolutely.
of our local communities, and to keep those local flavors, because again, not bashing corporations,
Sure.
but if I won't name names, but if a hamburger joint and an ice cream joint and a taco joint all show up in your town, what separates us from Chattanooga, Tennessee, or Billings, Montana, or
Right.
Chicago, Illinois?
Right, right.
We all look the same as far as our restaurants.
Right. Absolutely.
So to piggyback off what you're talking about affordable housing for families, and we need it.
Yes.
More starter homes. We need more starter business opportunities.
Yes, we do. And one of the things, and I apologize, I don't have the exact amount, but our industrial development IDA authority at Pima County and City of Tucson has one as well, has loans for new businesses. It's called Pima County IDA, Industrial Development Authority. So you can go on Pima County website, City of Tucson, wherever you want that business, and take a look at these starter programs they have. So that, because these IDAs are really looking at the economic development of the community for these businesses, the small businesses. So I urge anyone out there to take a look at that.
And the flavor of the article, no pun intended, was we've got to get more of that. We've got to get the developers, because we've talked to them, and it's
Right.
like, well, there's not the return on investment that I
Right,
need, Clint.
right.
Well, you know what? How do we fix that?
Right.
And leadership, to challenge leaders, can kind of hold the developers don't get just like a free runway.
Oh, no.
I mean, so at the end of the day, there has to be some accountability in that.
Oh,
and
right.
the final thought I'll have on that is we don't have large legal departments or resources that the large companies that can just come in and wait.
Oh,
I remember
right.
a large box store opened over here recently, and they were having a few permittings, and the manager and he and I knew each other, and he was, rightfully a little bit complaining, and it's slow. And I'm like, but you've got people to take care of this.
Yeah.
You're not actually having to deal with it. When I have the same problem, guess who has to deal with it?
Yeah, you're right.
It's me
Yeah,
by myself, the lone
absolutely.
dude, and there's no. So part of it is also on the small business owners as well.
Yes.
Having more of a cooperative,
Right.
working together, which is almost impossible. Like Scott pointed out the other day, you know why? Because they're busy running their business.
Right.
They really don't see the value, for the lack of a better
Exactly.
words, and spending a lot of time
Exactly.
politicking, because that's kind of what it is. And that's well, I didn't mean to hijack where we were going, but I think they fit hand in glove
Yes.
on these. So not only supporting the families, but supporting the small businesses.
Exactly.
Because I'm always going to be an advocate for small business.
Absolutely.
Whether
Well,
I'm
yeah.
running one or not, I'm going to always be an
Exactly.
advocate.
Absolutely.
So what else?
So one of the things that is really exciting, and I really want to, again, give kudos to the county. So even though I'm born and raised here, I had no idea until I got into doing what I'm doing as a board of supervisors, the incredible services and programs out there. So one of the programs out there for Pima County is purchasing open land, which we all know that the culture here in Pima County, Tucson, Marana, Oro Valley, Sahuarita, we want to keep Vail. We want to keep our culture. And we want to keep the beautification of our area. So if, I lived in Phoenix 10 years.
I did too.
Okay.
12
So
years.
and
And we love Phoenix. There's an energy there.
There's an energy, and there's all these things happening. But I will say that after living there 10 years, I'm so happy to be back here because this is a small town that we think is still small, although we're over 1 million people now. But there's never more than 1 degree of
Isn't that
separation.
crazy?
You're going to know somebody who knows somebody who knows somebody, and that's what I love about where we are. But so Pima County is purchased open lands so that we are not having tremendous building like the Phoenix area where there is no open land left. It's just a.
I was there last week. It's a jungle.
I
love the
It's
energy.
a concrete
Don't get
jungle.
me wrong. I love the energy, but
Sure.
boy, when I'm done, I'm like, I get to go home.
I know.
And I get to sit over there on the side of that
I know.
mountain and just chill, and it's quiet.
And I'm
it's
driving,
peaceful.
and I know when I'm hitting Picacho,
Yeah.
I'm like,
I'm
okay,
close.
I'm getting there.
I
And
get
then
off
Red
at
Rock,
Tangerine and I
then-
cruise up that road. And I'm like, that was
I'm
fun,
happy.
but I'm glad to be
happy.
home.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
You know, that's what
So-
you mentioned that. When I first moved to Tucson, I lived in Phoenix since '88, and I moved here in '02. One of my good friends that I knew here, he said, Clint, everybody knows everybody.
It's so true.
Everybody knows everybody. And I'm like, yeah, I grew up in a small town in the Midwest, and everybody did know everybody.
Yeah.
But 1 million people, like you say, 1-2 degrees of separate. You mentioned Shane. Well, I've known Shane for
exactly.
forever.
Exactly.
And if we threw names out there, like Edgar, I mentioned him a while ago. I've known Edgar since '03.
Yeah.
You know,
Absolutely.
I've known Ed for 15 years. You've known Ed 30 years, I guess, according to.
And also I knew Edgar because I worked at Pima Community
Yeah.
College where he currently
Yeah.
works. So, you know, those are the individuals that, you know, everybody knows somebody.
And it's relational too. It's not
Mm-hmm.
just passing somebody in traffic and you wave at them. Although we did when we grew up that way, everybody waved at everybody. It's these people. You know their children. You know their
Exactly.
grandchildren. Next month I'm getting invited to all kinds of graduations of people.
I know, isn't
whose
that
kids,
lovely?
They were kids when I knew them, and now their kids are graduating.
I'm so
honored.
excited because I was invited to the Flowing Wells High School graduation, and so I'm going to be sitting up on that stage. But if anybody wants to invite me, I am all here. So I love it.
You know what? We're coming down the runway here. How do we? Okay, let's do a call out to the public right now.
Sure.
If you've got 8 months left in your position here.
7 months, but who's counting?
But and you know what? And again, Dr. Lee, thank you for being here. Number one, but you have been such a valuable member of our community for so long because your
you.
involvement in education and all that. And we're glad you chose to come back from Minnesota. It's way too cold.
Oh,
I
you
spent
got
the
it.
coldest winter of my life in January of 1977 in Brainerd, Minnesota. Sleeping in a tent. I was with the Illinois National Guard, and the chill factor a couple nights got to 30, 40 below.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I thought it was too.
Thank goodness you're still here. Didn't freeze to death over there.
But again, how do people reach out to you if they've got a concern or they've got a suggestion, they got an idea? I know you're pretty easy to track down, but how do they reach out? And what are you looking for?
Well, you know, anyone can reach out. So our office is staffed by 3 incredible individuals. Maria is my chief of staff, Jen and Anissa. And, you know, I kudos to Sharon for hiring them. And so what our office does is you can call or you can go to, just put in District 3 at pima.gov. District 3 at Pima, the number 3, not spelling it out. District 3 at pima.gov. And there is a form there that you can say, I'd like a call back, and here's some of my issues. Can you tell me more? Like if it's we frequently get zoning issues or issues with Pima County Animal PAC, because there's a barking dog or there's an issue with zoning or whatever it might be. And, you know, we have a incredible relationship, again, with all of the departments within Pima County, which is vast, and we can be that conduit to reach out and assist you. So please do.
You know, one more thing before we go. I don't know. I could look it up, I guess, but just this week I read that of the counties in Arizona, the order of desirability, and Greenlee got number 1. Which, okay, I'll give you that.
Okay.
But you know who number 2 was? Pima County.
I know. It is a lovely
Isn't that
place
cool?
to live. And, I always say, when people complain about traffic and the high cost of rent and stuff, I say, you've not probably lived elsewhere because we are so fortunate here to have so many people that are in government that people don't realize how hard they work for all of us.
And most of them, a lot of them, at least the ones I know, they grew up here or have been here. Like Ed's parents were the first water company,
Ed.
and Herb Kai. His grandparents
Kais.
came here in the 30s of the Post.
Exactly. Well, I will say my great-grandparents, my great-grandfather came from China through San Francisco and actually was served in the Civil War on the Union side on a Mississippi gunboat.
Is that right?
Yes.
So we're talking 1860s.
Absolutely. And my great-grandmother, she became they had 8 kids and eventually came to Tucson. And so, many of us have roots that go way back. And our families had Chinese grocery stores over here in
Is that right?
Tucson.
I didn't know that. I'm not a native, but I got here as quick as I could.
Well, you are a native.
I've got here in '88. My kids are natives, so by association, I'm their sponsor.
I
so
love
it's
that.
Reverse. Dr. Lee, it's been a pleasure.
Well, thank you
It's
so
been a
much,
pleasure.
Clint.
And I'm
going
to hold you to these names you've been throwing out there. I want to
okay.
talk to these people. We
Okay.
want to get them in the studio, and because we want to be a conduit as well
Absolutely.
for sharing the good news. Hey, we can't ignore the bad stuff.
No,
But
and
let's find solutions
this
to
has
these
been
things.
fun.
Yeah, it's
Thank
been
you.
fun. Will you come back?
I will. Thank you for the
We'll
invite.
give you an invite.
Okay.
We'll figure it out.
Okay.
Hey, thank you, David, as always, for doing a great job in the booth. Thank you, Scott, for not interfering too much. And thank you, Dr. Lee. We appreciate it.
My pleasure.
Hey, thank you to all of our viewers, listeners, watchers. Any questions, local Marana, local foodie, or Marana foodie. This is Marana, of course, Live the Dream Media. Thank you, guys. Have an awesome weekend.